Hello YouTube. In a recent video I made the assertion, or perhaps the accusation, that the piano videos on a particular YouTube channel were being artificially sped up. Now, if you don't know the channel that I'm referring to, I might as well go ahead and say it because I'm sure it'll be all over in the comments. The channel was Piano, although he's certainly not the only person doing this. Now, I was quite shocked. I never expected this to be so controversial because it was apparent to me right from the very beginning when I watched the videos, and the more I dug into the channel, I saw this going on all over the place, and the evidence for it to me seems overwhelming. But I know that many people don't see it, and so I want to go in this video into a little more detail about why I think that it's being done, and more importantly, and here's the real kicker, I'm going to show you exactly how it's done, how it can be done, and I think that when you compare the sound that we will achieve in this video along with the kinds of motions that you're going to see in my hands, it will be very apparent to you how this channel and others are speeding up their YouTube videos. Now, I know a lot of people have accused me of being arrogant or conceited or thinking I know better. That is certainly not my intention, but what my intention on this channel is to give you my honest feedback on piano performances. And when I saw this channel, I really was convinced that there was something duplicitous going on. And music, to me, you know, it's a sacred art form. I can't just sort of sit by and not talk about it. It is very, very important that I think people know about this. And at the end of the day, you have to be the judge. Now, let's dive right into it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let's take an example here from one particular video on the channel, Mazeppa. Now here, it becomes apparent to me, even before the first note is played, that the video is being sped up. The hand motions look to me incredibly unnatural and jerky. And once the playing starts, it also sounds very much sped up to me. But if you don't see that, you might be interested in looking at another thing. I talked to an audiovisual expert about this topic, asked him to take a look at the video. He said, yes, it's obviously been sped up, and he clued me into something that I wasn't aware of before. He said, take a look at the blur rate on the frames. Now, what happens if I move my hand, for example, quickly across the keyboard like this, like I might do if I'm making a big jump when playing the piano? If I freeze the frame of that, as you'll see, we see quite a lot of motion blur because my hand is moving within the span of one single camera frame. But, however, in the videos on the Piano channel, what you'll notice many times is that even in places where there should be a lot of motion blur, you'll see very static images, like here or here. And that can come from the fact, of course, that the video is being recorded slower, and so less motion blur is being produced. Now, you still might not be convinced, and in that case, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you exactly how it's done. You're going to hear it, you're going to see it with your own eyes, and then at that point, you'll have to be the judge. Now, before I show you exactly how this is done, I want to talk about a few of the arguments against my position that have been put forward in the comments section, because I think they're very interesting, and I want to sort of dispel them one by one. The first argument is that, and this is the easiest one to address, is that you would hear it in the audio recording. Well, this is not an audio recording that's been sped up. I'm talking about MIDI data, which has been sped up. That's basically just the computer representation of a digital piano when the notes are being depressed, how long they're being held, and so forth. You can speed that up, as we'll see, without affecting in any way the quality of the audio itself. The second argument, which is a more interesting one, is, you know, it's actually not that fast. There are other people that play this piece just as fast. And that's true. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that can play this at exactly the same speed that Piano is playing it at, although it is on the upper edge of what's possible, but certainly possible for many people. But that's not the issue. It's not the speed, it's the unnaturalness of the sound. Now, I want to do a little experiment with you here right now, and I think you'll all see what I mean. Imagine that I were to speak at a very slow speed. I'm going to do that right now. So if I speak very slowly, and now I speed this video up to a more normal speed, I think that you'll sense that something is off. Maybe certain things just seem sort of jerky or unnatural in my speech. Okay, now we're back at a normal speed. Now, you see what I mean, because you all certainly have a very natural predilection for detecting these sort of unnatural things when human speech is involved. And I'm sorry if this sounds arrogant, but people that have spent their entire life in music, that listen to pianists who play piano and have been doing so since the time they're 5, have a similar sensitivity towards musical sound. And you hear something that just sounds so unnatural, you can really detect it right away within a few seconds. It's hard sometimes to put your finger on it, just like if I asked you to say, what was unnatural about the speaking? You might say, well, it sounds a little jerky, it somehow seems unnatural. But putting your finger exactly on what it is not always so easy. Now, the third argument that was put forward in the comments, and this was probably the most common one, was, wait a minute, this person is an actual professional pianist and he can play really, really well. So there would be no reason for him to speed up the videos. Well, let me give you a similar example. What if I said about a chess player, this person is a grandmaster, so there would never ever be any reason they would need to cheat? Or how about the argument, this athlete is a top-level cyclist, this athlete Lance Armstrong, so there would be no reason that he would ever need to cheat? Well, of course, I think we see in these cases that the argument is pretty obvious, especially when you're working at a high level. In the case of Tom Piano, I've seen those live performances, and by the way, when I look at them, they look like sort of ordinary professional performances. I don't see anything that looks sped up. I'm talking about the videos where he's playing on an actual piano now, where you actually see him, all of him, not a MIDI instrument. They look normal. You don't see any of the jerkiness. It all looks just completely kosher. But in the professional world, there are literally thousands of people that can play at that level. I know it seems shocking to people who are not in the business, just like it might seem shocking to learn that there are over 1,000 chess grandmasters in the world, or that how many Olympic athletes there are out there. And the temptation to be able to add an extra 5 or 10% or 15% in order to separate yourself from the crowd is very strong. And I think that's perhaps part of what's going on. The other reason has to do with YouTube's algorithms. So as a content creator, as we all know, it's important to be uploading material on a regular basis. Now, these very, very difficult piano pieces, they take a long time to learn. And even for professionals, they are, of course, never easy to play. And so a much, much faster and easier way of recording them is to work on them for a little while until you can get them up to about 80% speed, and then just record them very carefully at a slower speed and then speed up the video. And that's what's, I think, being done. It's a really fast way to produce content. It makes it look, at least to amateur eyes, really, really impressive. Top speeds, a lot of accuracy, and so forth. And that's what's happening. So now let's get into exactly how I think it was done. What I'm going to do for you now is record one of the passages in question. The passage in question is the coda section from the Chopin First Ballade. So what I'm going to do is, instead of recording this at the normal fiery speed that the piece goes at, I'm going to take a very leisurely tempo. I'm going to take my time with it so I can be sure to hit most of the notes and play halfway accurately and evenly. Although, as you'll see, it doesn't even have to be that great for the end result to be much better than it should be. So here we go. I'm going to read through this section. Bear with me just a minute or so of this Chopin Ballade number 1. So here we go. Okay, so that's the first step. Now the next step is we go into an audio editing program. In this case, I'm using Logic. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into that program and we're going to look at the MIDI data. These are these dots that you see down here. They can be lengthened, they can be shortened up, they can be moved all around in order to correct wrong notes if we want to. But much more importantly, if I go up here to the top of the screen, what I can do is I can increase the speed of the audio by whatever amount I want. And it's not going to affect the audio file, it's just going to affect the MIDI data. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And now basically all that I have to do after that is synchronize that audio file that I now export with the video that I made before and bump up the speed of my video to the same amount that I bumped up the speed of the audio. Now let's listen to the result. Now, I think you'll notice when you see that video that certain things don't sound or look quite natural. You might notice, for example, the jerkiness of the hand movements. You might notice that the sound just sounds almost too good to be true. It's really, really fast. It's unusually even somehow. But more importantly, it just sounds so much like this section in Tom Piano. Even if the tempo isn't exactly the same, I might not have hit it right on the button, but the effect is the same, the artificialness of it and the jerkiness and so forth. But there's one more thing, one more argument that I forgot to mention. Many people said, but wait a minute, in some of his videos, he puts a timer alongside the piano and you can see the timer going, and so that this actually proves that the video was recorded at a normal speed. Now, I'm sorry, but you can do this in Video Editing 101. It takes about 10 seconds, and let's take a look at this same video that I just recorded now. There you see now that the video is being performed in time along with the stopwatch. Now, how is that possible? There are about 10 different ways to do this. It took me about 5 minutes to figure out how to do. In my case, I used some simple video compositing in order to add a stopwatch along with that. I took 2 videos and basically blended them together. Very, very simple video editing. So there you have it. You can see exactly how it's done. You can see exactly what it sounds like, and I hope that I've perhaps convinced a few of you. For those of you that I haven't yet convinced, of course, you're welcome to your own opinion. Regardless of that, this is the last video that I want to make on this topic because I know a lot of you are anxious for me to get back to the review videos where we talk about music making, about piano playing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in those next videos where I promise to give you my honest opinion all the time. Take care, happy practicing, and see you soon.